Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. हरि नाम संकीर्तन की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, ताई गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from 6th Canto, Chapter 12, Text 8. While it comes, Lokaha Sapala Yasya me Shvasanti Vivasha Vashe Dvija Iva Shicha Baddha Sa Kala Iha Karanam. Lokah sapala yasya me Shvasanti vivashavashe Dvija iva shicha buddha Sakala iha karanam. Lokah sapala yasya me Shvasanti vivashavashe Dvija iva shicha baddha Sakala iha karanam. Lokah sapala yasya me Shvasanti vivashavashe Dvija iva shicha baddha Sakala iha karanam. Mataji's. Lokah sapala yasya me Shvasanti vivashavashe Dvija iva shicha baddha Sakala iha karanam. Lokaha, the worlds. Sapalaha, with their chief deities or controllers. Yasya, of whom. Ime, all these. Shvasanti, live. Vivashaha, fully dependent. Vase, under the control. Dvijaha, birds. Iva, like. Shicha, by a net. Baddha, bound. Saha, that. Kalaha, time factor. Iha, in this. Karanam, the cause. Translation of Prabhupada ki. Translation. All living beings in all the planets of this universe, including the presiding deities of all the planets, are fully under the control of the Lord. They work like birds caught in a net who cannot move independently. The difference between the Suras and the Asuras is that Suras know that nothing can happen without the desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas the Asuras cannot understand the supreme will of the Lord. In this fight, Vritrasura is actually the Sura, whereas Indra is the Asura. No one can act independently, rather everyone acts under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, victory and defeat come according to the results of one's karma, and the judgment is given by the Supreme Lord. Karmana Deva Netrena. Since we act under the control of the Supreme according to our karma, no one is independent from Brahma down to the insignificant ant. Whether we are defeated or victorious, the Supreme Lord is always victorious because everyone acts under his directions. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangung agate yatpatamam bande Shri Gurudin Tarnam Paramanand Madhvam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. It's a very awkward moment for me. In morning when I saw Maharaj, after that I was praying that no, he is not there. Incidentally, today is the day I have to give class. So I was praying that Maharaj, maybe no, I was just thinking that no, maybe he'll go to Kunj Bihari or someplace. But he's here. So it's a very awkward position. But I'm thinking myself to be somebody like, we used to sit in our vivas, in our engineering and 12th, 11th, no. So viva is going on, although spotlight is a student, but actually the teacher is right there. So I'll be trying to repeat whatever I've heard or learned from the Vaishnava community and by the blessings of His Holiness Bhakti Brihad Bhagavad Swami Maharaj. So with his blessings, and I took, but again, seeking your blessings, Maharaj, and seeking blessings of all the Vaishnavas, that at least Lord is victorious. I mean, Lord is going to be victorious in this battle, but Lord remains victorious, and I can depend on Lord. So this is a very significant section of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sixth canto is known as Poshanam. The Poshanam means nourishment and Poshanam means protection both. So it is, the sixth canto brings some of the best case studies of how Lord protects his devotees. So the example of Ajamil, now Indra, Chitraketu. So in this way, Lord is protecting his devotees in various conditions, and in doing so, he's some of the most essential principles of devotional service is getting highlighted, which causes nourishment for all the devotees. So, and especially this episode is very special, where now Vritrasur, with an objective to accelerate his journey back to Godhead, he is inspiring disappointed Indra to get up and fight. And he's speaking some really solid philosophy. So Vritrasur is speaking to Indra, Krishna spoke to Indra's son Arjuna. Similar philosophy is getting spoken over here. And here, so that's the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam. It brings out it doesn't stop unless the essence is highlighted, essence is being brought out. It doesn't stop till the time the pure devotional service is being highlighted. Even later in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see that how Durvasa Muni offends Ambarish Maharaj. And obviously, there was an arrogance of being a Brahmana and being a celebrated Brahmana and one of the most, and then here is a king. So in that arrogance, he kind of took quite seriously the minor, thing which had happened. And then, so it was basically, the pastime showcase, how his arrogance led him to forget that and become angry and did whatever he did. And then Sudarshan Chakra, ran after him, and he did all the world tour, and the universal and all the spiritual world, all tours he did. First he went to Brahma and Shiva. So essentially his arrogance broke till that time. His arrogance broke because he went to Brahma and Shiva. He understood there's a superior authority, superior to me. But then it didn't stop here. Vishnu. Vishnu is ultimately the controller. So he went till Vishnu. But even that is not the superior truth. Superior truth is what Vishnu revealed to Durvasa, that it is service to my Vaishnavas, service to my devotees, which is the most essential principle. So that's the point, that Bhagavatam doesn't stop unless the essence is being reached. That's it in all the pastimes, whether Dhruv Maharaj or Prahlad Maharaj or any pastime. Bhagavatam continues till the time essence is being awarded to the recipient. And in this also, what a contrast. Sura is big, being kind of labeled as an asura. Sura, we have generally heard, Prabhupada says Sura means demigod, asura means demons. And here the positions are swapped. The demigod is now taking the position of asura. Bhagavatam can only bring out such things, any karma kandi or any other, scripture, they will not dare to get into that domain, that demigod is being, being chastised and labeled as an asura. But Bhagavatam can do it because Bhagavatam is trying to bring the essence. And in this position, we see that how, while we understand that demigod is sura and the demons are asuras, but that's external. The essence is what is getting spoken over here by Vritrasura, which is going to decide that who is sura and who is asura. And Vritrasura himself is giving that differentiation between suras and asuras. And he mentions that the key point over here is dependence on Lord. In the previous verse, he mentions that how somebody who knows that Lord's position properly, then he is always victorious. Because knowing Lord's position means actually being dependent on him. And then there is victory. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. Bhagavad Gita got concluded with that. Wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Arjuna, there is victory. Because wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is devotee like Arjuna who is depending on Krishna, there is victory. That's how it is. Shri Radha Vrindavan Chand Bhagwan ki jai, Gaur Nitai ki jai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra ki jai. And if one is not dependent in that way, then this verse comes, which showcases that how one has to be dependent in an indirect way. Karmana Daivanetrena. By influence of one's karma, and karma, karma is like tube and time is like tire, so this tire tube combination works. Based on the right time, right karma, the right time comes, and the wrong time, wrong karma comes. All these things keep on happening, swapping. And then Lord gives his judgment, as this verse says, Netrena. Netrena means it's the action of the Lord, it's the judgment of the Lord. Just like we hear in the court cases, Everything is there, the law is there, everything is there, but finally the judgment is given by the judge. Okay, this is this. So while there is the karma, but then ultimately Lord gives his judgment that okay, this is how this person is. But ultimately it is karma and Lord. There's no one in between. The karma is what we have created and ultimately sanctioned and judged by the Lord and sanctioned, and then the ruling, the order is being signed, with the nib broken that okay, go ahead. That's how it is. A writing on a wall which comes when the Lord gives his judgment. So this is the second type, which Vritrasura is highlighting. That he is saying that point is that you don't understand the Lord, but the second position is that anyways you are supposed, if you can't act on behalf of Lord, you have to understand that you are anyways controlled by the karma. And if you are controlled by the karma, you have to basically do your duty. You are anyways under control of Supreme Lord, so do your duties properly, so that you can get purified and you can you can advance. So that's what Indra is being prescribed. Because Indra at this point of time is taking a position of Asura. Asura means when there is influence of mode of passion. Rajas. Krishna talks about this in Bhagavad Gita in divine and demoniac nature. So he talks about the divine nature in first 3 verses, then he starts talking about demoniac nature elaborately. And one thing which keeps repeating in that section is that how there is a strong attachment or desire to enjoy certain things, to enjoy the possessions, acquire the possessions and then enjoy it. That's the symptom of mode of passion. And then in that way get bound by the action. Something similar what is happening over here. There was a desire to attain the kingdom. There was a strong desire, and based on that certain actions and getting bound by the actions. That's the nature of mode of passion. That's the nature of mode of passion. Mode of passion leads to bondage. Obviously, there is a passion to control, and when you see things are going out of control, then one becomes, oh, what is happening, One starts losing the steam. That's precisely what is happening in case of Indra. You thought things are in control, in my control, I want to enjoy in a certain way. But then he found something superior, someone superior to him, and then he lost all the, he started losing his grounds. Because he was acting on the platform of mode of passion. Vritrasura is advising him, act on the mode of goodness. Do your duties. Anyways, and that's the whole message of Bhagavad Gita as well. Since there is a nature, there is an impure heart, and there is a strong tendency to control and enjoy. So do your duties. Like it or don't like it, do it. That's the meaning of duty. Therefore, duty brings us to the mode of goodness. Because whether we like it or don't like it, we continue doing it. We should understand the beauty of duty. Duty is a very beautiful thing. It can actually purify us in a very nice way. Because it has a capacity to bring us off the mental platform of this I like, this I don't like, all these things. Duty can do that. So the concept of duty is therefore very important. That's what Vritrasura is saying, that you are somebody who is bound. So the best way is that progressively move towards the liberation by first doing one's duty. And then of course, duty has to be done for the pleasure of Lord. That's where the devotional services starts. We are not fan of just doing our duties. We want to, that's a means to achieve the end. The means is to do duties. It's not the end in itself. It's not that doing the duties is the end in itself. And I'm Mr. Clean, I'm there. But the end is, it's a means to achieve the end, which is to please Krishna. So when that equation is forgotten, then passion comes, obviously. And then in this way, there is a strong, desire to enjoy, acquire positions, desire to control, desire to enjoy, they take prominence. And in this way, there is bewilderment, there is instability, there is inconsistency in our lives. So that's the point of how dependence is influenced, or our degree of dependence is influenced by the modes of nature we associate with. It can be daiva or it can be asurik pravritti. It depends. If we associate with mode of passion, then that asurik pravritti becomes more, and then it becomes difficult to control. And we see that Indra is externally a demigod. I mean, we have to praise Indra for one thing, that he was paying heed to the advice of Vritrasur. Because externally, Vritrasur was, is like very, and that's one of the qualification how Indra could come out of the mode of passion also. At least he could realize. He was paying heed to the advice of Vritrasur. Although externally he is demigod, all nice, very clean clothes and everything nice, and very creased clothes and very shloka. But here is Vritrasur, who is like absolutely looking like, he was looking like a big demon and all. But he was paying heed to the advice, which means he was not arrogant. And that's the beauty of Bhagavatam. It brings such extremes that we can find ourselves somewhere between that. No, we are not, I can say for myself that not like Indra for sure, not as Sura as Indra. That's why he's Indra, no? We are struggling here in Katraj Kondwa bypass and all, and he is there in Indra. There must be some difference in his obedience to the Lord, right? So definitely not as Sura as Indra. And people whom we meet, they are not as, Asurik who are coming and killing us like Vritrasur. The beauty is that Indra could pay heed to the advice of Vritrasur. He was not arrogant. Arrogance is an enemy of learning. When we become arrogant, and arrogance may breed from this also. I am a devotee. That kind of feeling may also breed arrogance within us. That what I am doing is right only because I know absolute truth. So therefore, whatever I do is absolute truth. Whatever I is absolutely right, absolute. And I absolutely wrong, absolutely right, absolute. Because we are absolute truth. We know it absolute. So everything becomes so absolute, but it's not so absolute. Srila Prabhupada, when he was in Delhi, he got an, what was an amazing mood, Srila Prabhupada has exhibited, And when in Delhi he was distributing pamphlets, and somebody came and told him that, that why don't you print books? And he took he was not like, what is this nonsense? You are just coming and saying, what are you doing? And here I am working so hard and all those things. But Prabhupada had no arrogance. Prabhupada took that as, yes, there's a good point. There's a point in this. And he actually applied it and improved. So definitely this is one thing which can keep us in passion for a very, 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 very long time. And that is our arrogance, which may come out of our identity. Whatever I say is right, whatever I think is right, whatever I do is right. Everything is so right about me. But the dependence, definitely that the opposite is mode of learning. When we are in a mood to learn, when we are in a mood to, not that we are not talking that we become lack of confidence and everything we do is wrong only. That's another absolute extreme. But then in a mood of openly kind of taking feedback and improving, no arrogance. And that's one thing which definitely Indra showcases. He actually was hearing very, very carefully what Vritrasura was saying. Although externally it was not making sense. Vritrasura didn't have that badge, I am a pure devotee. He didn't have that badge. But as Chanakya says, even in the garbage you should pick up gold. Similarly, any good instruction we can. It needs lot of attitude of learning, not arrogance, non-arrogance and things like that. So that becomes a credit. So therefore there was passion, but then since the mood was to learn and improve, Indra could elevate himself later, as we see. So therefore this is a journey for a devotee. From the point of absolute independence, so-called, and thus getting caught in a net like birds, to actually becoming completely dependent in that sense, as the previous verse says, in always be victorious. So something to be very constrained like a bird in a net to be always victorious. There's a transition, and as devotees we'll just keep coming back and forth. Sometimes something will happen. So I thought that there are just whatever different places Srila Prabhupada talks of dependence. So then I thought that create a bit of framework on dependence, which may try to see wherever we are and then try to help us elevate. Because Prabhupada talks of dependence in various ways, in various places, and in various contexts. And we are talking about dependence because increased dependence leads to increased independence. And increased independence, so-called, it leads to increased constraint. So we want to actually become free. We want to become independent. So which means we have to become more dependent on Lord. More dependent on Lord. Because doing one's duties means also, in one sense, dependent. So we'll discuss about that. So there are 3 levels of dependence, which we see come across, in different ways. The first form of dependence is dependence on Lord for getting the fruits of action, the results. It is a very, a very pious mentality that you do and you leave the rest, That, we see our parents also, sometimes used to prescribe us, beta tumne kar liya na, now everything, Bhagwan dekh lenge, this type se. So dependence on Lord for the results of one's actions. It's a very, in fact, Krishna also talks about that in Bhagavad Gita, in previous verse only it is there. Karmane vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. That you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of, because fruits are not in your control any which ways. Fruits will come on its own. It helps us to remain stress-free. It helps us to remain, this kind of dependence on, when we depend on Lord for results. It helps us to become more focused. Because if we are always thinking about results, we don't think about the activities. Our focus kind of shifts. Of course, some affinity for results is needed to perform the activity also. But then if we just keep thinking about the result only, activity focus is lost. So this is a very, karma yoga, you can say somewhat it gives the beginning to the Nishkam Karma Yoga, this whole concept of depending on Lord for the results. But it is essentially the part of where we depend on Lord for results, offer the results to the Lord. That is the first level of dependence. The second level of dependence is dependence on Lord for doing one's activities. Not just result, but even doing one's activities, we are dependent on Lord. Now that also has various ones. Actually, Prabhupada says in one of the purports of 18.57, I'll just read it verbatim. In all activities, just depend on me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. So Prabhupada says that it's not just about results. Lord Krishna, it's about the activities itself. Activities also, we have to depend on the Lord. Activities also we have to depend on. What does that mean? It means, first of all, not doing the activities which are not prescribed by the Lord. Acting under the domain of the instructions or the circumference of instruction of Sadhu Guru Shastra. That also is an act of dependence only. That also is an act of dependence. When we are acting as per the instruction of Sadhu Guru Shastra, that's an act of dependence. And then when we do those activities, we think that, strength, we pray to Lord to get the strength, we pray to get Lord to get the consciousness and intelligence to perform those activities. So first thing of dependence is not doing something which Lord is not prescribing. It's very difficult to depend on Lord for doing something which Lord is actually not prescribing. That's not the right way, this is my devotional, this is my way of doing devotional service. So, but it has to be under the guidance and the instructions of Sadhu Guru Shastra. Then that becomes the dependence of activity. It's a higher level. In first case, we are just depending on results. I'll do whatever I want to do, and there is essentially no connection with the instructions of Sadhu Guru Shastra. But it's about results and getting those results. But anyways, it's not in my control, so jo Bhagwan denge wo chalega. That is definitely one level of Krishna consciousness. The higher level of Krishna consciousness is while doing our activities, first of all, choosing and not doing the activities which are not prescribed by Sadhu Guru Shastra, and while doing that also praying to Lord for strength, consciousness and intelligence, that please give me, Lord, please give me. This is a very long phase actually, doing one's duties. So which means that we cannot just say, I like to do this, I don't like to do this. Everything comes in that. Some things which we like to do, we do it. Something which we don't like to do, but still we do it. So that's a dependence on Lord for activities. In that consideration, it doesn't matter, because here Prabhupada is not saying in just chanting and hearing just depend upon me and chant under my supervision. Krishna is not saying that. It talks of all the sphere of activities for a devotee, which means one's activities pertaining to Varnashram, it means pertaining to devotional, everything, direct, indirect. In all the activities, one acts not according to one's liking or disliking, but actually what one is prescribed to be doing. That gives one's mental strength, that leads to goodness, and that leads to purification of heart. But there's a problem here. When we do this, operate in this phase of dependence in activities, because goodness comes, because balance comes, because all these different things comes, there is a happiness also which comes. And as Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, this mode of goodness also binds us by a happiness. So one may forget that why I am doing what I am doing. Okay. So I am doing externally, as my life is absolutely, looks externally quite, aligned to the Lord and everything. But internally, we may get deceived, we may get distracted. And therefore comes a third level of dependence. And third level of dependence is dependence in terms of identity. That I am the servant of Krishna, Guru Parampara and Vaishnava community. That identity, when it is not there, then one may just continue doing whatever one is doing, because it's like a cruise, but there are some vehicles in which you have automatic cruise. So you are not even putting the accelerator or clutch, it may just go on, and we may sleep. So the cruise may go on, So similarly, it may so happen, because that looks quite pure. Externally nobody can question only. But then we begin to feel that there is, the nourishment is kind of, getting disconnected, and we don't feel that kind of pleasure in devotional service and all. Because we need to remind ourselves that the sambandha is not in place. The desire, the dependence in terms of identity. I am doing whatever I am doing for the pleasure of Krishna, Guru, Vaishnavas. I am the servant of Krishna, Guru, Vaishnavas. And there is no, Prabhupada in one of the purports he says that there is no other way. It's not that one fine day this realization. We have to accept this axiom in our life, spiritual axiom in our life, that I am the servant of Krishna, Guru, Vaishnavas, and do things in that mood, and then this axiom is being realized. It's a spiritual axiom, because it's very difficult to achinta bheda ved. It's not easy philosophy to just intellectually understand. All we have to do is we have to accept and apply it in our lives and live. And that's a homework of life. That's a homework of life. It is something which is going to continue. So once that is there in place, of course, one's activities will be, one high likelihood one will be able to depend on the activities, even on the activities level on Lord. And definitely, for the results, one will be able to accept whatever Lord gives, thinking it is favorable for my Krishna consciousness. If this, sambandh, so in one sense, there is a sambandha, and then avideya, and then prayojan sort of thing. So once we just focus on results, not sure activities we are depending. If we just focus on activities, not sure whether identity is there. But then when identity is there, then everything kind of comes. Everything follows. So that's what Vritrasura is highlighting. He started with the previous verse he was saying, "Oh Indra, no one is guaranteed of being always victorious. but the original enjoyer, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Bhagavan, he is the cause of creation, maintenance and annihilation. That's why he's talking of Lord, and then you may choose to accept that position of Lord and be his servant and operate accordingly. If not, then start here, start doing your duties, get purified, and then move on. But that's how it is. So we will vacillate in various levels, but then that's where we want to go. We want to be absolutely dependent on Lord, like Arjuna, like Indra's son. And then there is always victory. But when one is not dependent, then there is karma deva netrena, karmana deva netrena. Then karma will play its role. So that's pretty much about it. And so request Maharaj to please, as you would like to please. Maharaj, you would like to comment, Maharaj, on
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for such a beautifully explaining the different levels of Krishna consciousness. So in the third level, at the identity level, so this is, that is like, of course, others may be also challenging, but this is the most challenging as it's like third level also. So if you can also give some, practical solutions to that, that we can, eventually upgrade ourselves to to be able to have that identity, because that thing may many times get checked. We may be just getting into the activities, and maybe also in good association sometimes we may have strength to offer the fruits, but identity is always like a kind of challenge. And so if you can throw some more practical solutions.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful question, and rightly pointing out that it's a very difficult. It's just, how can I say much, because I am myself not really. It's a very subtle thing. It's at the level of needs a lot of introspection. We keep introspecting in doing whatever we are doing. Important thing is hearing regularly. That is very important, that we hear and read regularly. Because all what Prabhupada is saying is this only in his lectures and in his books. He is trying to right-size our consciousness and again bring us to the point. That is one thing. Secondly, actually, there's a very big testimony, previously told, that victory doesn't come, of course, apparently there is a defeat of Vritrasur, but he actually became victorious. So when there is dependence, then you feel more confident and you may feel more, clear and victorious. In different situations, it becomes clear. In different relationships, in different activities and all those things, it becomes free flowing actually. So practically, all we have to do is just we have to keep serving. That is important. We have to keep doing. We need to, with time, we need to increase our quality and quantity of devotional service. Something which we are doing in, let's say, 5th standard, then we 6th standard, we increase, the load increases, so both the quality and quantity of devotional service, we keep pushing ourselves, not pushing to the limit of, burning out, but it's more about pushing ourselves to the next delta. Then one will question why I'm pushing myself is because, that's my identity. I want to refine that identity. I want to, bring out that identity more. So we keep doing that. So definitely one thing is hearing, reading, and increasing the quantum of our devotional service, introspection, and definitely associating, with the pure devotees is a very powerful, because they are actually living that identity. They are living that pleasure. Why it says that love mata sadhu sangha sarvasiddhi hoy, because sadhus are actually living in that consciousness, always. They are identifying themselves as a servant of Guru. They were quite comfortable in that identity, and they are quite comfortably moving in that identity in various types of services also. So when we associate with them, when we serve them, their blessings will help us to, get to that level. Makes sense? Any other point or question? Okay.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, thank you so much for very clear explanation of this concept of dependence, which is the heart of bhakti. So my question is, you said about beauty of the duty. So actually the current scenario, the Varnashrama scenario, that time it was very clear that what is one's duty is. But currently, if we see that it's more or less theoretical when we are living, because I myself is Varna Sankara, So I don't know what is my duty, and neither maybe whosoever we are interacting, we don't know. So the one constitutional duty we are clear with, we don't have doubt about it, but to approach that level of dependence internally and move it in that, as you said, it takes effort.
Yeah.
So is there requirement to identify our conditional duty, or it is just focus on constitutional duty and just go ahead, because it's a beauty of duty, and the whole Bhagavad Gita talks about it.
Yeah.
So please.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for nice question. So this, we see, when we are preaching outside now, we are talking to different people, you just go and talk about Varnashram, nobody is going to buy it. Varnashram is not selling right now. When we go initially and talk to people on that, and 10 years from now, it is going to be even more difficult, when the next generation kind of comes. And we can't be just talking about that for sure. So therefore, when Prabhupada went to US, he introduced Bhagavat first, Bhagavat, chanting, hearing, reading, and become attracted to, develop faith in that. Because our even performance or taking the austerity of performing the regular duties for pleasure of Krishna also depends on our faith in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Unless that faith is not there, then talking about that will not make any sense. So definitely we need to first implant that faith in the hearts of people and our own hearts, that what is Krishna consciousness all about, what is the basic philosophy, and intellectually getting convinced about it. And when we do that, naturally we want to chant, read, hear, and all those things. We do direct devotional service. But the point we need to understand for ourselves and even for others, and we have to introduce it it is not a blanket introduction that 95% Varnashram and 5% this constitute, nothing. It's not like that. It will largely, it's a very individual position, okay? And it's a very individual position. So, but there has to be an intent to offer Daiva Varnashram to everyone eventually. Because why we are saying is, constitutional duties are sufficient, but we are not sufficient to accept constitutional duties. We get, we can say it is external and only constitutional will save us, but the point is, if we are not identifying with the external, then there should be some other symptoms in us as well. No, we are not really caring about praise, despise, like Vritrasur, we are not showing those kind of symptoms. So that means conditional duties also become important for us. Prabhupada, when he was walking on that long building and with Hari Sorry Prabhu, and he was saying that till the time I am there, there is enthusiasm, but when I am not there, then therefore Varnashram net is needed. So Varnashram acts like a net where people will not go back and fall down into absolutely useless type of life. At the same time, it has to be introduced as much as possible. Therefore, Prabhupada used to say as much as possible, as much as possible. Not that we rely on that only completely, but we see in different situations and different people's lives how much of Varnashram principles can be introduced. But when we talk of beauty of duty, we talk of conditional duties as well, because our heart is not pure enough, to just, and we see that also, we don't consistently move on that, okay? And if we are so pure, then let's set an example as well. Why will we mind Krishna speaking about, if Krishna is talking about that in Bhagavad Gita, that act according to your position, then we'll happily do that. Because if we are pure, then we'll do it for the sake of Krishna. If we are not pure, then anyways we are supposed to do it. So the point is that no, we should be doing it because it will purge us of mode of passion. And obviously it is if we wouldn't have been in Krishna consciousness, we wouldn't have been talking about our duties of husband, wife. And I know a lot of my batchmates, so after doing my MBA and also, I know I'm in touch with many of them. So there's a very tangentially different life they are leading. And in all likelihood, I would have been in that same tangent. There is not going to be any difference. It's only when the philosophy was understood, then we understand that why it is good for me to do duties, why it is good for me, how it is, protecting me in different ways. So then that combination of, our chanting, reading, hearing, and doing our regular duties, that is being understood. And when we do it in our lives, then we introduce it appropriately in others' lives. Okay, somebody who is like absolutely, then we have to just see for the right opportune moment and see how much that person can be accepting whatever principles are possible from the Varnashram standpoint. But duty means conditional, constitutional, both, for all practical purposes. Unless one is like Vritrasur or, it's a different level altogether. But then we have to do our duties. Of course, Vritrasur is also prescribing that, no? Just follow your duties. That is important for us. Makes sense? No? Anything?
Oh, yes, Prabhuji, means conditional and constitutional are...
You have experience on having dependents also, right? No, in the sense of family members. You in the Grihastha ashram, so ashraya is there, like shelter. So you also giving shelter to like children you have, and their mother, which is your wife. So you have a sense of realization and experience of having dependents who depend on you. I don't have that experience. So can you share that realization of how you are giving shelter to others who are dependent on you? At the same time, you are dependent. With brahmacharis, I get this question coming to me sometimes from the brahmacharis, but I can't answer it. In other words, how is it that others are dependent on you and you also feel dependent, or you become, oh yeah, they're dependent on me, I'm not the Ishvara, or am I, or whatever. So can you share that kind of realization you may have with brahmacharis especially? Because they don't have that experience. I don't have that experience.
So, next question, Vaiva. The second Vaiva question. So
because you emphasized on dependence, and I personally like to know your realization of how others are dependent on you and then how you become dependent.
Yes,
because you said dependence leads to independence. So that was very nice. You said that.
Yes, ma'am.
So how you are independently taking care of your dependence, and at the same time you become dependent. Something like that, because we don't have experience, so we need to learn from you.
I mean, I am the third-class person who learns by experience. So I'm sure that, no, Maharaj, you have heard so many devotees' lives. So but as a Vaiva question, I'll answer this. So definitely, it is. It's a pure devotional platform in Grihastha ashram to see one's child, one's children, one's house, one's wife as the property of Krishna. Krishna is the owner. And I'm doing all my duties. I am playing the role of a servant with the specifics of a husband and with the specifics of a father, and trying to serve them in that relation. So it's a lifelong homework. I have not finished it at all. So I'm just trying to apply this core principle. But there are certain things which passes the mind when we have this relationship where where the family is dependent on you, and you have to take that authoritative position as well, to guide the to basically in the home to drive the things, and with the so certain things which happens is that what I feel is that is while the wife and kids they are dependent on me, but I think there is also mutual dependence. It is not that they are purely dependent on me and thus I am depending. This arrangement made by Krishna is such that I also exercise or depend on them for various things. So I see that as Lord's arrangement. Just like in certain situations, there are certain advices which comes from from the wife. Her outlook is way different. I mean, even in managing the house, it is a partnership kind of model which works. So it is not that there is a dependence which I also kind of exercise. Sometimes it may be emotional, sometimes it may be just practical, some understanding and guidance. And even similarly for kids also, I personally feel that I am not self-sufficient. I needed, that kind of relationship in my life, which gives a particular kind of, that juice. And that juice is important for me to keep my mental and psychophysical things in a proper, everything in shape, so that I can very confidently move on from one point to another. So in that sense, there is something which I am gaining from the other side as well. And so that's, I think, I share a mutually dependent, symbiotic relationship in a family setup. It is not one way, for sure. So that is one thing. Secondly, that's a service which I am doing. So I focus on my part is that what instructions I have received, I try to follow those instructions, and in my own life, that is. In that way, I am not just thinking that buck stops at me, that where they are dependent on me and that's it. I am also trying from my side that which I have to. If I think that okay, that is fine, and it becomes satisfied in that position, then their inspiration will stop to happen. It will not continue for a long time. So I need to continuously work. It's an unsaid rule that if I am doing that, they will get inspired to do. If I am trying to align myself, they'll be aligned to, it happens without even saying. So that inspires me that, okay, this is happening, so let me try to do my homework. Because there is no pleasure in sitting and they just depending on me. With it comes responsibility. So my pleasure is going to come in my relationship with Lord, which will happen by if I continuously follow my instructions and all. And in household, what I try to do, is that what feel is that protection means making people happy, keeping them happy. It is not that it's because when it's our dependent control, then automatically we want to drive things in our own way, and but actually protection, Prabhupada says, protection means people should be happy. So keeping everyone happy, it gives a lot of joy. Then actually, so then naturally you feel like, okay, I'm trying to do. So these are, so keep focusing on that. Of course, disciplining when it is needed, but then by and large everybody feels happy, secured. That looks like a very good state to be in, and which I think is possible only if I'm kind of focusing on my homework and not what they are supposed to do, focusing on my duties well. So then they become naturally secure, they become naturally happy, and I'm not trying to be bossing around. So everybody gets their identity to flourish. Even though we are talking of a home, we can't just say that my identity is the predominant one, and then allow everybody to kind of spring that up, and so then it becomes like a very good partnership ecosystem than a place where one person is calling the shots and the other are just following that. So I feel
Thank you very much.
okay, yes. And here, I think it's a lot of time. But you had to.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for taking the mic. Thank you so much. Continuing what I was saying, that there will be mixture of conditional duties and constitutional duties. So when it comes to Grihastha ashram and Brahmacharya ashram, that it makes it more complex. But now I think the question which Maharaj asked, that clarified many things about it. The principles have to be in place. So I was just asking about that only, that,
Sure.
that principles have to be in place, that's all. Wherever you are, just...
Yeah, I mean, that strong desire to control people should be like me only. I think that doesn't work anywhere. It backfires badly. So even in the home setup. So as you're saying, no, principle means of doing one's duty in duty. Then sometimes you may take a role of being a leader. Then at the same time we have to ensure that the followers get their space to grow as well. So then that becomes more easy. Yeah. And if you don't do that, then reaction comes. So anyways, we'll be brought back to the platform of duty. Okay, thank you. Prabhupada ki, Tayi Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare.